What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk to you about Opendoor. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down what's moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Opendoor is up 0.85%, 777 the low, 835 the high, but very low volume. So 54.6 million shares being traded, 378 is the average. So a couple of different things did come out that's really helping Opendoor move higher. One is this. So 𝗪𝗧 did post early on this morning saying that there's going to be a big launch tomorrow. And so it's going to be individuals wanting to buy a home in parts of Texas. So that's going to be kind of the tester. And luckily enough, someone did ask if we change our VPN, could we actually view the product? And it's kind of weird that I guess they didn't think of it initially, but 𝗪𝗧 did mention, I'll see if I can post an address for the live experience once it hits production. So there's going to be some updates coming tomorrow, so that should be a pretty good thing, especially I would assume PR would match that as well, that they wouldn't just do a launch without kind of making it nice and formal. But in reality, one of the biggest attributing factors why Opendoor is moving higher is because of this. So Jolt numbers came in better than anticipated, both the openings and the quits. So openings came in at 7.2 million, forecast was 7.1, and then the quits 3.09 versus 3.18. So obviously Powell was very concerned over the labor scenario that it currently was. We have a lot of labor data this whole week, and so instantly, because of this data, we do now have a 92.5% likelihood of a 25 basis point cut for the upcoming October 29th meeting. And potentially, if we do get some good data as well, such as tomorrow, so ADP employment, and then we also have on the Thursday initial jobless claims, challenger job cuts, and then on Friday non-farm payroll and unemployment, you could potentially see a 50 basis point cut being on the table. But nonetheless, it's going to be a win-win, because either we'll be starting to assume a 50 is on the table or start to price in a 25. So it should be good regardless. Nonetheless, though, the market is somewhat fearful only because of a potential shutdown as early as tomorrow. And one thing to take note of, though, is that if there is a shutdown, they did state that they're going to pause all the data releases. So we might not be getting any data potentially tomorrow. So again, something to keep in mind. But nonetheless, though, Opendoor is really moving higher because of the data that came out. So that's pretty good stuff. And generally, for those of you that have been following my channel, and especially my weekend video, this was kind of the scenario that was going to occur, right? You knew that this data was and is very important to rate cuts, and rate cuts is very important to Opendoor's bottom line for their business. So again, the writing was kind of on the wall for that. Aside from that, Opendoor shorts are returning 204,000 shares. 19.84% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 140.69 million shares overall being shorted. So I think in general, shorts are returning, kind of validates today's green day. This is why I like to analyze this type of stuff right here. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. Aside from that, looking at the options, we are seeing 10 million in calls, 4.23 million in puts. So kind of low dollar value in comparison to the norm for Opendoor. And so 46% of all the options being done are bearish in nature. So I think a lot of the broader sentiment in the market is being portrayed based on this right here. So again, there's a lot of fear associated to shutdowns and things along those lines. So let me know your general thoughts. Again, hopefully tomorrow they actually do put out some actual concrete news, not just do a social media post. I know 𝗪𝗧, he seems to be very much oriented towards Twitter. And I get it, because it's easy. Anyone can just post whatever they want, and it's a little bit more free. But the problem is that a lot of people, even in my videos yesterday, was bringing up, 𝗪𝗧 seems to be just now arguing with some individuals, no different than what Eric was doing. So coming from a investor standpoint, it's a bad image. And there's also even more speculative things that was occurring on social media. But I think if 𝗪𝗧 and Eric and whoever else is going to be the face of Opendoor, they need to have a little bit more class. some people might disagree with me on that, and that is completely fair. But aside from that, looking at the calls, so coming from a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around that $9 range by the end of this Friday. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub. Consensus is between 750 and 8, but it's, as you can kind of see, there's all the way down to about 550. So a lot of volatility is anticipated. These are all the transactions occurring on the secondary market above $100,000. So it looks as though a lot of the buying did start pretty much after the jolt numbers. Prior to that, you did have a lot of selling. So that's what did really bring it down to that low of 777. And interestingly enough, this is exactly what I did post on my Patreon. So I put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades, and in Opendoor's case, I actually did say that it was going to get to roughly around that 780-ish range. And then from there, it was going to go to 835. So just in a span of, was it half an hour, 45 minutes, it hit my day trade spectrums. So again, for those of you that haven't popped over there, take a look at my Patreon, link in the description below and also the comments. But aside from all that fun stuff, with it right now at 840, it is right above this pivot point. So 839 will be that key point to really watch for it to close above today, if you're going to see a continued technical recovery. And then 936 followed by 996 will be the next round target / resistance points. 742 and then 682 is going to be kind of following support points. So just watch for a lot of that if you're wanting to dollar cost average, swing trade, or whatever else floats your boat. Aside from that though, you are still seeing good amount of willing buyers based on the market position, and especially in comparing it from yesterday to today. Not really much change, a little bit more willing buyers. That 10-day moving average is sitting at 879. So for whatever reason, if it is able to fight and get above that, then you could see a resurgence of just a push higher. So a lot of good momentum. But as I've mentioned time and time again on a lot of my videos, with momentum plays, you need a lot of volume. You need a lot of capital to get in. And lately the volume has been diminishing. So it's been kind of going the other way. And this is why we've been seeing a certain level of consolidation. But hopefully with good data the rest of the week, if it is released, then we could see a very nice push higher. Algos seem to be the big deal for today. And that's based on the flow right here. No other news or anything like that. A lot of bearish articles, to be fully honest, coming out about not necessarily Opendoor, but rather just the housing market. So I think there's a certain level of concern over that. No new analyst ratings on a side note, so it is just piggybacking off of the data. So let me know your general thoughts on Opendoor. If there is some big changes, I'll do a PM video as well, just to give you a summary of everything that is really moving Opendoor. But give yourself a shout out if you have been buying or where you plan on potentially selling. I know some people might say I'm not selling until 82, and that is completely fair. I'm not here to get you to sell or to buy. I'm just listing the facts and the data. It's pretty simple. So let me know your thoughts on all that. Then one final thing. As I mentioned, if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, pop over to my Patreon, put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades, worthwhile to kind of pop over and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.